I think I speak for all tank players here. If you genuinely want to try tank, good luck, because if you think support can be stressful, which yes, it is, solo tanking makes that look like a stroll in the park. So yeah, I will be the judge of that. So let's see. People have been spamming my comments with tank is the hardest, Vanguard is the hardest, you wouldn't survive. But I'm kind of a fraud, you guys, because I've never played tank before in Marvel Rivals. And today that's gonna change. So I'm in the practice range trying out every single tank. And by the end of this video, we're really gonna see if tank is actually the hardest role or if a lot of you guys are just coping. Now, before I start playing tank, I want to tell you guys my expectations for this role. The first thing I'm expecting is for this to be the most difficult role in all of Marvel Rivals. I'm expecting to be under constant stress and constant pressure, and I'm also expecting it to be the most important role in the entire game. These are all things I've heard from my comment section, my chat on Twitch. I'm going into this expecting all these things, so let's see if they're true. The first tank I tried out was Groot, because I, and pretty much every single other Marvel Rivals player, hates Groot. And I kind of see why, because how did I not know the wall does damage to a player that's near it? Maybe that's my fault, maybe I'm stupid, but I genuinely did not know that. But after playing Groot, I just didn't think he was gonna be the one that I resonated with. So next I tried out Bruce Banner. And I will say Hulk was definitely a little bit more difficult than Groot. He doesn't do as much damage and he's a dive character, and typically I don't really enjoy playing dive characters that much. So after trying out Hulk for a little bit, I realized that he wasn't gonna be my main either. I then tried out Strange because he has a shield, and I actually really did like him. I loved the shield because you can protect your teammates. So I went for another person next who also has a shield, Captain America, but he's a dive character, so I didn't really resonate with him either. But when I went on Magneto, I was like, this is the guy that I want to play. His left and right click are both amazing. I love how he has a shield. I just knew that this is the tank that I would definitely be the most successful on. I also resonated a lot with Emma Frost just because she's hit scan and I love to aim. And I thought it was good to have two different options just in case one of my teammates decided to steal Magneto. My first game, I decided to play Emma Frost just to get comfortable with her. Honestly, I expected tank to be easier than DPS, and I thought that this first game was just gonna be a breeze. That was until I realized that they have dive characters, and Spider-Man already killed one of my DPSs. And as a support player, I hate dive characters because they're always killing me and my DPSs are never doing anything about it. But it didn't take me long to see how terrible the game also becomes for a tank player when there's dive characters. My whole team is focusing on one Spider-Man, which should not be happening. And I also had no idea where to position myself, so right here you can tell that I just got myself killed. This is a quick match, and I thought this game was just gonna be so easy because I'm already good and I know how to play the game. But this is the moment that I realized this might be a lot more difficult than I first thought it would be. When there are people diving your supports and your DPSs aren't taking care of it, that leaves you just with no heals and no one to help you at all. And by the second round, we were getting absolutely demolished. I am so glad that this wasn't a ranked game. I would turn around and my supports are nowhere to be seen. They are not healing me. And it's not even my fault because I have to create space. This game was so awful, and the only reason we won is because they stepped off of point twice. And one of my teammates decided to switch to Hulk and tank with me, which was really, really helpful. And to be honest with you, this person on my team was one of the worst players I've ever seen in my entire life. The next game, I decided to try out Magneto because I was so comfortable with him in the practice range. And I will not lie to you guys, this is some of the most fun I've had on Marvel Rivals in quite a while. I don't know if it was because my teammates actually knew what they were doing, I was positioning myself better, I was getting healed, but this game went so much better than the last game. Magneto for me was actually pretty easy to learn, and it was really easy to get a hang of the positioning on him. But of course I still had to remember that this is a public match and it's gonna be a lot harder in rank. But this game I popped off and I truly did so well. This game I went 35-0, which surprised me a lot because this game was a lot different from the last game. Either way, I felt like I was getting the hang of tank and what it meant to actually play this role. And I was really starting to like it at this point, and honestly, I'm just so surprised that I've never played it before. I don't know why I haven't. And after this game, it solidified that I was ready to get into the ranked games. So I queued up into my first ranked game, I chose Magneto, and then all of a sudden, this happened. My teammate also chose Magneto, and he's Lord. So now I had to risk stealing it from him and being worse than him, potentially throwing my own game, or I had to choose someone else. And I chose someone else. I decided to play Emma Frost instead. But this was a huge problem because I was not comfortable on Emma Frost. I did not perform well on her the one time that I played her, but I unfortunately had no other choice. I was very nervous at the beginning of the game, but I surprised myself because I started to do pretty well on her. And although I wasn't very comfortable on her, she wasn't difficult to learn at all. But even with me as the ace, we were still losing and I had no idea why. And even though we were still ace at the the second point, my team was still not doing well. And at this point in my head, I was thinking, is it me? Am I not playing my role correctly? I didn't want to be the one throwing my ranked game. But by the end of this game, it was pretty obvious that it was not my fault whatsoever. And this is where I realized being a tank heavily requires everyone on your team to do their job, which can be said for every single role in this game. But for tank, you're supposed to create space for your team. And if your team is not utilizing that space, then what's it all for? I spent all day playing support, and this last game is going to help me determine whether or not it's as difficult as everyone says it is. And I wanted to challenge myself by trying to play someone I didn't even practice at all. We had a rocket on our team, and I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to try out Peni Parker. And I was nervous because this pick could truly throw my entire game. I've come so far this entire day. I feel like I've learned so much. I just hope it all doesn't go to waste. We were pushing first, and I started to think, is this the right pick? Because Peni is a little bit more of a defensive tank. But I continued to push, and I started to take space with my webs. And this was very helpful. I enjoyed playing Peni offensively. And before I knew it, we were already starting to cap point. Peni didn't take me very long to get the hang of. She was pretty straightforward. We continued to push on, and the other team could not stop us at all. They had no chance. But was this my doing, or were my teammates carrying me? Because I was still confused about how that one quick play game felt so much more difficult than this Diamond 1 ranked game. But I decided to not look too far into it, play the game, and do my best that I absolutely could. And we ended up getting all the way to the end, which I was very surprised about. But the real test of my skill would be holding them. We held them pretty well at first, but then my entire team died. And I couldn't tell if it was my fault or not. Could I have done more? What should I have done better? But I continued to play on and just try to hold them as best as I possibly could for my team. And this is where things started to really change. The other team could not get past this point for the life of them. And after going into overtime, I webbed this invisible woman, and we finished the game, and they did not get any further. And after finishing the game, these are my final stats, which I thought were pretty good. Now, after playing tank for a full day on Marvel Rivals, I'm sure you're wondering what my opinion is. So I want to go back to the expectations and see if I think that those are all true after playing tank for a whole day. The first one I want to talk about is if tank is the most important role in the whole game. And while I do think it's a very important role, I still believe that support is the most important role in the game because you would not be able to stay alive without support. But I do think if you have a bad tank on your team, you automatically lose because if they don't know how to create space, you can't create it for yourself. And I saw that happen in a lot of my games where I was either the only tank or my other tank was not very good at the game. The next thing I want to talk about is the constant stress or pressure while playing tank. The constant stress and pressure comes from everyone shooting at you. But I think for myself and a lot of other people as well, when you're getting dove in the game, it just puts so much stress on you. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not experience anyone diving me while playing tank. So for me personally, playing strategist in Eternity is way more stressful than playing tank. There is genuinely nothing like the stress of being a strategist main, everyone blaming you for dying even though no one's helping you with these people that are diving you. Not only did I not experience that type of stress on tank, but I also didn't experience that type of stress on DPS either. And for the last point, the one you've all been waiting for, is tank the most difficult role in the entire game? And in my last video, I talked about how support isn't the easiest role in the game, but it's definitely the easiest to get a lot of value out of. And on the complete opposite side of this scale, tank is the hardest role to get value out of, specifically because making space is not enough. Tanking damage is not enough either. And to get the absolute most value out of playing tank, your positioning has to be the best out of anyone else's. You also rely on your teammates much more than other people. It is not your job to peel for your supports, but sometimes your DPSs won't peel for your supports and you're forced to do it. At the end of the day, I do not think any role in Marvel Rivals is difficult whatsoever. I've played many different FPS games. I've also played Overwatch, and personally, I think Overwatch is way harder than Marvel Rivals. And after playing all these roles for one day each and getting the hang of them, I can safely say that DPS is the easiest role, and I know I'm gonna get hate for this. While there are more difficult DPSs, you get more value out of the easier ones, so why would you want to play a more difficult one? You have one objective as DPS, it's do damage and kill people. While being a tank and also being a support player, there's so much more to focus on. So for the roles going easiest to most difficult, I would say it's DPS, then support, then tank. And of course, this is just my opinion, so don't be too upset by it. I'm just a random girl on the internet. But I would still like to know your guys' thoughts on it. If you agree or if you disagree, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really appreciate you guys being so invested in this series. Hopefully I can come up with another interesting series soon. I'm working on it. Anyways, thank you guys. Bye!